You're now tuned in to Huff Nation Sports. Buckle up. Coach Oliver, Buddy Pough joins us on Timeout Convo. Stacey Huff here with Huff Nation Sports, and glad to have the coach, the 8-time MEAC champion, the 3-time Black National Championship team down in South Carolina State. And coach, your career, like I said, Hall of Fame in the MEAC, Hall of Fame in South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. Talk about Oliver Wendell, Buddy Pough, and I'm gonna get to how to get the name Buddy. We get to that in a minute, but talk about young Oliver Pough and how did you as a young man, how did you first know that football was going to be a thing you love? Because you were an outstanding player as well.
Well, I was okay, and I would have liked to have been better. I was one of the reasons that I think Coach Jeffries was successful early in his career here. I was one of his offensive linemen, and laugh a lot about the group that he had here. I told him, I said, if he had known how bad we were, he would have never come back in that day. But I played high school football and baseball here in Orangeburg.
Okay.
For a guy that my football coach was Dick Sheridan, who had been the
legend
head Furman and NC State and all that kind of stuff. And he was just fresh out of college at that point. And had, I mean, a wonderful sense about him as far as the whole game was concerned. And you knew right then, back in his early years, that he was going to be something special. And played a little baseball. I'm still a big baseball fan. I love the Atlanta Braves even now.
Really?
I've gotten season tickets for the last couple of years.
I don't realize that.
I finally figured out that I like watching them on TV. I like watching them in person. If it's not going good, I get up and walk out and do something, and then come back a little while later. See, hopefully the time I get back, they're playing better.
Exactly. I get it. I love that. I'm a Yankees fan, man, but my granddaddy loved the Braves, so I watched the Braves.
Well, now, I hate the Yankees.
I figured you were going to say that, Coach. A lot of people hate the Yankees. That's okay.
You know what? And we've been to Yankee Stadium a good many times over the years. My boys, we've tried to go to most of the parks around the country to see the baseball, different places that people play Major League Baseball. That's a fun kind of hobby of mine. The fact that I would like to see all of them, all 30, whatever our teams they are now.
Yeah.
Actually. And, it's a lot of fun that way. But I've had a wonderful time just doing the things that you get a chance to do because you've been in this profession. Super Bowls, Final Fours, baseball games, World Series games, all that kind of stuff. So that's been the kind of stuff that I enjoy doing.
Good stuff, Coach. I tell you what, I got to Yankee Stadium for the first time in 2021. It took me that long to get there, and I was great. That was the mecca for me, finally getting there. I took the train, got off the plane. As soon as we got off the plane, we unpacked. My lady and I, we unpacked and went straight to the Bronx. I said, before I do anything in New York, I got to go see the Yankees, and I went. But yeah, no, Coach. You mentioned you were a baseball player, so I got to know this. You were an offensive lineman in football. What was your position in baseball?
Well, what would you think? I was probably a catcher.
I didn't want to say, Coach. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be prejudging and profiling you.
I caught a guy named John Brown here in Orangeburg High. I guess back in the late 1960s, early 1970s. And I enjoyed baseball. Probably, I'm still right now, as much. I played a little sandlot ball. Tried to play a little ball here. We had two guys on our team at South Carolina State, and then we had a guy named Willie Mays Akins, who played for years, had about 3 home runs in the World Series game.
Kansas City Royals.
Kansas City Royals. You're right. He's from Seneca.
That's right.
And Eugene Riches. Eugene was in my class at South
really?
And we had baseball up until 1973, I think, at South Carolina State. And they cut baseball out. And those two guys both wanted to try to go to Carolina, Clemson, and they didn't necessarily want to take either one of them. So they decided that they'd go to the draft. They decided because, we cut baseball out at the college, and they didn't necessarily have any place to go. So they decided to offered themselves up for the MLB draft. They went 1-2 in the first round.
And that's how it worked out. It worked out. They both went
It
on.
kind of sort of worked out for them. They
I
played
think, hey,
for
wise move by
a
them.
long,
I'm glad.
long
But Willie
time.
Mays Aiken, I was a fan of his when I heard he was from South Carolina back in the day as a kid. I
Yeah.
started rooting for him a lot when I realized he was from South
Uh,
Carolina. So
and Gene is from Jenkinsville, South Carolina. So he
really
right
good
played in the
stuff.
outfield, was a left-handed speedster, one of them kind of guys.
Good stuff, Coach.
Guys on the team, they were really actually played football too, but Gene played baseball on our baseball team at that time when we cut baseball out in 1973.
I can tell how much you like baseball. I can tell that. So talk about your early days you got into coaching. What made you say, you know what? I played well. I like different sports. I'm a sports guy. Let me
Yeah.
get what turned you into the coaching profession?
Yeah, well, two things. The first thing was that I wasn't good enough to keep playing, and I wanted to stick around the game. So you try to figure a way to do that. And I got a chance to GA a year after having played with Coach Jeffers and that staff. My mom was a high school women's basketball coach also.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was kind of in my blood a little bit that way. She kind of carried me around with her, trying to keep up with me when I was a little boy and she was coaching girls basketball.
Okay.
So, it was kind of, ingrained in me from the very beginning, from a very early age.
Yes,
And from that point going forward, I just simply wanted to try to figure a way to hang around the game. And I can tell you that I got an opportunity to GA with Coach Jeffers for a year, and then I went and took a high school job. I coached high school offensive line for 2, 3 years. And then when Coach Bill Davis got the head job
right.
here,
Yeah.
in 1979, I
Yeah, I
think,
think it was 79.
then I got an opportunity to come back to South Carolina State with him as an assistant. So I coached with him for the next 7 years, actually. And
Yeah.
after we had a little change in direction, you know what happens when you got to change direction.
Yeah, look, accidental on purpose. Something happened. Look.
One of those kind of deals. We ended up looking for jobs. I went back and coached again at OW for about 3 years. And
Yeah.
then I got the head job, the head high school job at Keenan High School.
Yeah, I remember that. I
Rest
remember.
is history from that point going forward. I got the head job at Keenan, Fairfield Central, and then on to Carolina back here. Yes.
And before I definitely want to round it back to your great finish of your career, the last 21 years of South Carolina State, where you did even more legendary things. But talk about your time under Lou Holtz there at University of South Carolina.
Well, I just, as a matter of fact, came back a couple, 3 weeks ago, I think maybe from Coach Holtz's funeral.
Yeah.
And got an opportunity to hang out with some of those guys
Yeah.
that were on our staff, Charlie Strong and Skip Holtz and some of the guys that played for us, Ryan Brewer, if you remember that name.
Yeah, from Ohio kid. Yeah.
Williams played offensive line for us, all those kind of guys. So, but Coach Holtz gave me an opportunity. Then I think a lot of people would never have given me that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm always obliged to him, appreciative to him for the fact that he gave me the opportunity. I actually got the opportunity from Brad Scott. Brad was the head guy there
Yeah.
for 2 years before Lou. So I was the only guy who was on Brad Scott's staff who actually got retained by Lou Holtz. So
Okay.
Lou, he kept saying his big thing in his speeches were that he didn't necessarily retain me. He hired me, which was the case, but actually I was there and he kept me from Brad's staff. And then
That's good
from there,
stuff.
we went 3 years. I was the only guy, too, also on that staff at South Carolina who lost all 21 of those games in a row. Brad Scott lost his last. We didn't win a game, Brad's last year. We were 0-11.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was a kind of a traumatic experience. You know what? No, we weren't. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. We were 1-10.
Lost the last 10 though, right?
We lost the last 10. And then Lou lost his first 11.
So that's 21 years.
And I was the only guy who was on Brad and Lou's staff, so I was the only guy there who lost the whole 21 games.
Yeah.
that was not a very pleasant experience, I guarantee you.
And then it probably meant more to you when Ryan Brewer and those guys won the back-to-back Outback Bowls after that. So it probably meant a lot to you.
I guarantee you. Well, it was actually a bigger deal for me when we beat New Mexico State after having gone that 2 year trip.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal for me. So that was Lou's second year
Yeah.
as the head coach at South Carolina. And then from that point on, we go on to beat Ohio State that year in the Outback Bowl
Yeah.
in I guess maybe 2001, maybe 2000, New Year's Day of 2001, and then New Year's Day of 2002, and we came back and beat them again. I think maybe like 35-28 or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was at the game. I think you won it with a late field goal. I was at the second one. I was at the second one.
Maybe 31-28. Yeah, what happened
Yeah.
was I think we were up like 21 or nothing or 28 to
And,
nothing.
and just in the second, let me as a fan,
Yeah.
came out of the locker room at halftime and like what happened? Who's this team? What happened?
It was not pretty, was it? So
It was bad. And Ohio State fans were talking trash, man. It just kept going downhill.
yeah, they
But I'm
all
glad we got the win.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So for that being said, so the Lou Holtz years, and from that spot, immediately helping turn that program around. That's when you got the South Carolina State opportunity, correct?
Right. From there, and he actually encouraged me to take the South Carolina State job. He just thought that it was a fit in a way that I would be a person that could get in there and could make some things happen and give them an opportunity to get back to their glory days. And he was right. We had some good years. I had a couple of kind of mediocre seasons toward the beginning, but the season went on. I mean, as the seasons went on, we eventually got it going, and we got some players, and we got Cleve McCoy and that crowd in, that quarterback from down at Megan, South Carolina, down
Yep.
at down at Edisto Beach side of South Carolina, and then after that we got Malcolm. But it kind of makes you really think about a team based around who the quarterbacks were.
True.
That's kind of the way I organize them in my mind.
Yeah.
Going forward, we had the Cleve years, we had
Malcolm Long.
yeah, and on and on like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a quick break to thank the sponsors of Hough Nation Sports. We begin with Rockamoss at rockamoss.com for all your sea moss needs. Rockamoss, fuel your glow from the sea below. Want to thank them, of course, and also Alpha Insurance Solutions, LLC, for all your insurance needs. Reach them at 803-427-1327, Alpha Insurance Solutions, LLC. And then, of course, for your real estate needs, for your home buying and selling needs, it is SM Realty and Associates LLC, Karen Alexander and her staff for all your home buying and selling needs. 803-445-7185 and the email there, KarenAlexander773 at gmail.com. And now, back to the episode.
Well, you did a great job recruiting. One thing I'll give you credit for, Coach, a lot of things you get credit for, but the state of South Carolina, you definitely got some really good talent. And some of them were hidden gems, I think, out of the state of South Carolina while you were there.
We had some real fortune in the fact that we were able to project some guys to be really good players that we necessarily didn't have to do a lot of fighting for. It was kind of one of those kind of deals where we thought they'd put on some weight and had good bloodlines or something about them that we knew.
Yeah.
There's no style kind of guys in the world. Were guys who we knew the parents and the moms were good athletes and that kind of stuff. And the guy who actually was probably the most important ingredient in our recruiting over those years was probably Gerald Harrison. And Coach Harrison had been a head coach in high school over in Darlington. We'd gone to school together way back when. His son is now the athletics director at Marshall University.
Oh, really?
In Huntington, West Virginia, yeah, and he just had a wonderful touch with that entire PD side. So all those guys over there that you've seen over the years, he was the guy who took Tamarick Hemingway, big old stringy tight end.
Yeah,
comes in. He's a 6'1", 175, 180-pound guy. He turns into being a 6'4", 230 guy. Coming out of college, that kind of stuff.
You got to be able to see that, though. You got to be able to project
those guys were those kind of guys, and people say, "How y'all get them big old pretty guys? Y'all got some fortune. Y'all got some great lines and that kind of stuff of of direction to get players, and we say, you know what? Yeah, you're right. But if you had gone on them, you probably could have got them too because they weren't those kind of looking guys when we took them. We took them thinking that they might develop. Yeah.
We
Mhm.
mentioned Darius Leonard. Talk about some of the other pros you turned out there. Darius Leonard had a great career with the Indianapolis Colts. Talk about some of the other pros that come to mind that you turned out during your tenure at South Carolina State.
Yeah, the Hamilton boys, both Jakar and Antonio Hamilton from over at Johnston, South Carolina, were two
Yeah,
guys. They were both really good athletes.
yeah,
Jakar came as a junior college guy. He had gone to the University of Georgia and stayed there for a while, had blown himself up over there, and ended up in the JC. So we take him and his brother Antonio was at some little school in Tennessee, and I'm trying to think of the name of the little school in Tennessee. But he ends up just coming in and walking on, and ends up being a draftable guy himself too.
right.
The Raphael Bush guy from Williston.
Yeah, I know
Raphael,
Raphael. I know him.
Raphael actually played at Greenville for a year.
Oh, really?
Uh, After having gone to North Greenville, then he transfers in and sits out. All these guys walk on guys now.
Yeah.
They don't have any aid at all. They come in, and some of them still mad at me today because it took me a year or two to put them on aid, to put them on scholarship.
They got their money later in the pros. They got their money later.
Oh, I guarantee they made real good money.
They
The
did.
road a piece. We took transfers from different places. The guys that I talked about Tamarick Hemingway a little bit. Tamarick was a tight end from Myrtle Beach,
Yeah.
was a brilliant student. And he comes in, he says that he wants to be a basketball guy, but he got no basketball offers. And we offered him in football. So we finally said, you know what? If you come and football doesn't work out for you, we let you try to play basketball. So he comes and after about 4 or 5 days of camp, he ready to quit. I said, well, good. I said, quit. And I tell you what, I'm gonna take you to the dorm. You stay in the dormitory, and then what'll happen is when basketball season starts, then we let you go to basketball. So
Wow.
the next day he shows up to practice. I said, well, damn, I thought you said you wasn't coming back. He said, well, I'm out again. And from that point going forward, he stuck it out and kind of made it on from that point forward. But
There you go.
eventually he ends up being a big old pretty thing and end up playing 7, 8 years in the league.
Right. And look, it paid again. He cashed it in. It worked out for him because he could have gone the wrong way with that, made the wrong call.
I guarantee you. And then
Coach,
you think
go ahead.
about some of the guys, the Joe Thomases of the world,
Yeah.
both the daddy and the son. If you remember, we had the dad that played for us. He was a 50-some-year-old.
Yes. Yes. I know Joe. I know Joe. Joe's one of the sponsors of my radio show. He has been,
Is that
I know
right?
Joe.
Okay.
I've had him on my radio show here in Raphael. So yeah, I want to talk to you about that. That's one thing that made national news there. You had the oldest starting linebacker at Division I at one point at 53 years of age, right?
Well, I had the oldest. He's a running back. He
He
played.
was a running, that's right. He was a running back.
Well, he
The
didn't know
son
what he was.
linebacker.
He wanted to be on the field somewhere, and we got a chance to get him out there as a running back. And that was a fun deal. We weren't very good at that time, so that gave us an opportunity to kind of put a little different spin on the season. The last 2 games of the year,
Yeah.
we got them in the game, and we had everybody in here, man. All of the doggone national news services.
Yeah.
But he'll watch them play. And we actually had some issues with him trying to get him eligible.
Really.
And the fun thing about it was when we finally got him close, he couldn't quite get over the bar. So we called the NCAA, and the NCAA said, this guy is how old? We say he's 53 years old. They said, how old is he? They said, 53 years old. They said, man, let that damn man play.
Right. Like what? Like what? Like what? Like what kind of unfair advantage is that? Right.
I guarantee you. So he ended up playing
Because you had an AARP card. That's the first player you had with an AARP card. Right?
You got that right. He played for us. That's all right.
That was a great story. Again, Joe was a great guy. I got to know Joe over the years. But Coach, speaking of that story, that's where I was going next with you. Give me some of your best memories, some of your takeaways as you sit back now of your time. We know the 8 MEAC championships. We know you had some great battles with A&T and other schools. I know the 3 Black National Championships. You beat Deion Sanders in one of them, right? Talk
Yeah.
about some of your best memories as you had those high level moments at South Carolina State.
Well, one of the things that I screwed up over the years was we were one of the schools that held the Celebration Bowl back. for a good many years because we were so intent on wanting to play in the playoffs.
Right.
And we were going in the playoffs and getting paired against Appalachian, Appalachian almost every time we got in
Sure did.
and not going very far. But we ended up going to Atlanta and playing in the Celebration Bowl finally, I guess, in 2021. And that might have been probably the highlight of my career, having gone through uh, Dion and won a game the way that we did that game. And I don't think anybody gave us a chance. We had uh, about a 50 chance of just surviving.
Right.
They thought they'd beat us in the Pope. And,
I,
it was fun, the fact that, we were able to put a plan together. We did not think they were good enough to actually drive the football down the field on us. We thought we could stop them. And if we could stop them, then at that point, then we thought that we need to try to keep it from scoring any points in the special teams game. So we
right.
didn't turn the football over and give them any points.
Right.
We didn't give them special teams points. We didn't think they could do much on our defense. And that came to fruition as the game went along. And once we found that we could have to stop them, then we got more and more confident, got more and more momentum. And then, as the game went on, we took over the lead in a way that, we were dominant. Yes.
I remember the pregame press conference, one of their players was talking like they already assumed the victory. I remember that. You remember that too?
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure their whole outfit thought they were pretty much a shoe-in, to win that game. But at the
But
same
the
time,
mighty Bulldogs, y'all got up for the Bulldogs that day. Y'all got up
we did.
for the
We
Bulldogs.
definitely got up for the dogs. I
That's,
guarantee you that was probably the I guess the most exciting time of our career here. But you know what? That game this past year probably topped it.
that was a dramatic finish. That was a dramatic finish.
That was an amazing game. I tell you what, I was on pins and needles. I told Coach Barry, I said, "Let me tell you, man, I'm sitting over here. We down 21 points. His theme for the year was hold on to the rope, hold on to the rope."
Yeah, yeah.
I said, my hand was getting awful tired on that rope.
They
21
were starting to come off a little bit.
I was getting a little concerned about. I could see the water down there. I think it'd fall off.
The rope got hard at that point. But that was a dramatic finish, coach. And I'm gonna call a timeout. This is called Timeout Convo. So I'm gonna call a timeout right here and say this. We know you as a very gregarious, very outgoing personality, easy to interview, great with the media. What's something about you that people might not know? What's a hidden talent or skill that you have, Coach?
I guess probably my love of baseball might be as much as anything,
Yeah.
because I can tell you that I'm pretty much an authority on most of the baseball information from all of the players, all the great players back in the old. And,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a hobby of mine, the fact that I like to go around and see the
Yeah.
different places where people play Major League Baseball.
A baseball historian. What's your style of music, Coach? If I look at your playlist right now, what's your last few songs you heard, Coach?
I'm an old school, I guess, kind of sort of guy. I don't know exactly where the Earth, Wind, and Fires and
I like them.
Frankie Beverly Mays is.
That's my people too. Let's go.
That those kind of guys come into play, but those are my guys. When I look, but I don't actually do much listening anymore. I used to use one of those little iPhone, what a little thing you just
Al,
put. Yeah, and walk around and listen to the I guess maybe, and I like Sting a lot, the Police.
I like Sting too. I'm a Sting fan
Yeah,
too.
yeah, but
Every breath you take, that was my jam.
I guarantee that, and if you love somebody, let's set them free.
Yeah, yes, sir. That came out by 84, 85. That was my back in the day. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely got good musical taste, Coach. So we talked about your high school career. We talked about your career at South Carolina State. Right now, you in, like I say, semi-retirement. And what is your current position? As you with South Carolina State still? What is your current position?
Actually, I've been AD for about the last, I guess, 15, 18 months.
Okay.
Something like that neck of the woods. So
Okay.
I actually came in and took over when our president asked me to take over last Christmas, and I was supposed to go for about 2 or 3 months as the interim. So I went 2 or 3 months as the interim. I actually went almost a year as the interim. Then he finally came back to me last Christmas and said, "You know what? say, let's do this thing permanent for another year or two.
Okay.
I'm doing that now, and it's been a neat connection. I was actually the guy who recommended that we hire Coach Bear, and he's an old offensive line guy. We kind of connect in a way where we get an opportunity to support one another. I loved our, uh, I guess, rest of our athletics programs. Coach Hardy Judge, our tennis guy,
Yeah.
doing a fantastic job. Eric Barton has been pretty good. He was really good year before last in basketball. I hired Cedric Baker, our women's basketball coach, and we've got a nice little mixture of assistant coaches with football. That I enjoy kind of hanging around and that kind of stuff. And then we've got 14 sports right now. We get ready to move to 16. We're in the process right now
Okay.
starting up women's golf and bowling and another.
Okay. Good stuff.
And listen, and the next big sport that's going to come along at South Carolina State in another couple of years is going to be flag football, women's
Really?
football. Yeah, I think it will be an NCAA sport.
I got a little eligibility left. I might come out there. Might be Mr. Thomas all over again.
Women's flag
Oh,
football.
you said women's. Okay, no, I can't do that one then. Okay, I didn't hear that part. Okay, I'm glad you. I can't do that one.
I don't believe you're going to be able to make the cut.
No, I thought you said regular flag. You said women's flag. Okay,
especially in this state, they're going to make you go to the bathroom, all that kind of stuff, taking you out to see where you
You're
go.
a bad boy. You're a wild boy. You're a wild boy. You're a wild boy. No, I can't. I can't do that. Hey, let's get back to your buddy. Where did Buddy come from? Who named you Buddy? Who called you Buddy Pugh?
And my dad named me Buddy, and we've got he was Oliver Jr. and I didn't necessarily like Oliver all that much, and decided that he would name me Buddy when he's gonna name me Oliver the third, but at the same time he gave me an out and named me Buddy Robert. And then my son Bud, who also was Oliver the fourth.
Right.
I remember Bud. Bud played a little football at Ridgeview.
Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. Yeah.
Back good many years ago. He was the next Oliver. So I think we started a tradition of, as you name your sons Oliver, you name your son Bud also.
So Oliver and Bud go together.
They kind of somehow or another they do. But now Bud had two girls. And one of his girls he named Olivia.
Y'all can't get away from it.
We call her Olivia, so that don't necessarily. So she's closer to being the actual call Oliver than we are.
She can't be a Bud. She can't be a Bud though. We can't let her be a Bud.
No, we don't think that's going.
No, we'll do that, Coach. I'm gonna let you get out here. I got a couple more questions. So, if I would ask you, what is your takeaway? What you've taken from football, and what do you like most about giving to football over the year? What is your takeaway that the game has given you that you always hold in your heart?
Yeah, I think what's happened for me is the people that I've become friends with, the relationships that I've made, the players that I've had to come through, and I've learned to love all of the different kinds of experiences, places that you get a chance to go, and the ballparks you get a chance to play in. Yeah. I've been around almost all of the ACC. I've been around almost all of the SEC. Yeah. We've had wonderful experiences just kind of traveling around the country and doing things, mostly somehow or another connected to the game that we coach here. It's been just a wonderful life. And we've made a decent enough living that we don't have anything, but at the same time, we're not suffering for much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful existence here. Mostly at South Carolina State. Now, the two different times I was here for 7 years.
Yeah.
Back with Bill Davis back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And then I've been as the head guy here now from 2002 to about now. So you're going about 24, 25 years.
Yeah.
So the two times I got about 30 years in around here. So to have that longer existence
right
in a coaching situation is very rare. You get very few opportunities to do something of that kind
Yeah.
for that long in the same place.
And you got to do it in your hometown.
And one time, I'm from South Carolina. I've always been in South Carolina. You know, the only time that I left was to come to Columbia, which really is just like it being where it is. So
Right.
I can say pretty easily that, you know, that's probably been the most, I guess, maybe beneficial piece of the entire process for me.
Coach, I tell you what, I appreciate you, man. You've done so much, and on behalf of those fans and media and everyone who got to work with you, man, I appreciate your career. You've done a great job, man, and you always been a great personality, easy to talk to, and wise. The good sense of humor, all the great things. You can't ask for more than that from a football coach. So I want to let you know I appreciate all you've done personally, and I speak for a lot of people when I say job well done. And you're still going, but a great, great career you've had.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Steve. And I look forward to seeing you down here at the game. Come down here and hang out with us sometime.
I sure will, Coach. You know, well, Mr. Hamilton's like my uncle. Mr. Bill Hamilton, and my dad were basketball teammates in high school. I don't know if you know that.
Super.
My late father. So yeah, so I'm part. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm looking for you when I get down there.
All right, let's make it happen.
All right, no doubt, Coach. Thank you very much for joining me on Timeout Convos with Stacey Huff on Huff Nation Sports. Oliver, Buddy Pough, the coach, the legend. Thank you very much, Coach. You have a good one.
Appreciate you.